Okay, let's get on. Modems and routers. This is actually part three, and it will finalize today. This is the last of the three-part series. Now, last week we talked a little bit about the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bandwidth that you have, and I talked about why you would want to use that. I just wanted to go over this one more time to make sure that everybody knows. Most of you will have dual band routers. You'll have it, you may not know that, but you do. What I want you to do is I want you to look over and I want you to look at your SSID, and I want you to go down, and you'll see in the square box here, you'll see it says Netgear 77, but you also see there's a Netgear 77-5G. So you know, if you can, well, first of all, you always want to make sure if you can plug in, don't use Wi-Fi. But if you have your choice of Wi-Fi and your Wi-Fi router's in the same room as your computer, you always want to connect to the 5G there. Now, this isn't 5G like the phone thing we talk about. This is just 5G Wi-Fi, and that means that it's going to be twice as fast as your 2.4 and probably less congested. So have a look at that and just make sure that you're connecting there. Now, I want to talk a little bit about mesh routers. This is a new, so we talked about dual band routers, but you go to the store now and you'll find out that there is a thing called mesh routers. And this has been available for the past 2 or 3 years. Mesh routers are mostly used for larger houses. In other words, this is size matters. And so you'll see in this case, this is a large house, and you'll see that there are a number of mesh satellites here. So the concept behind this, and there are a number of companies now that make them, and there's Eero, there's Orbi, and a whole bunch of them. But what happens is you have a base station, which is where your primary connection is, and then you will have a satellite. Now the satellite, in the case of the Orbi, the satellite goes on each floor. So if you have a 2-floor house, you would use one on the main floor, and then you'd have the second one on the second floor. With the Eero, I believe it's one per room. So you'd want an Eero in each room. So it depends on who makes the mesh router to how many you're going to need. And again, this is the one that I have, and this is the Orbi. And you'll see here, and if you look over to the right, you'll see here. This says satellite, and this is the one that we put. Put in the upstairs. Now, the Orbi actually is a tri-band, and we'll talk a bit about that, because the difference between the mesh routers and the ones you have is that they use all, in yours with the dual band, you could log on as 2.4 or 5, but in fact with an Orbi or a mesh router, you log on and you use both the 2.4 and 5, and in fact there's a back channel in the Netgear Orbi, and they use 3 channels. And what does all that mean? What does all that mean? Well, let me give you an example here. If we have, let's say we have, this is a mesh unit here. You'll see on the by my cursor. And if you see, this is a satellite unit here. So the internet would come, and it would come over to the satellite unit. And then we have a device, could be your phone or whatever, that uses internet. And in this example, you'll see that there's a constant flow of data from the base unit over to the satellite unit, and you're using a certain amount of data. But watch what happens here. Once your data requirements go up, look what happens in the mesh router system. You use 2.4 and both 5 gigahertz. So from the base station, you're moving a huge amount of data now to your satellite, and so it adjusts the amount of data that is going to be used for you as your demands go up. Now, I sort of tried to give you an idea on, this is a house. This is a house. Let's say this is 8 o'clock at night, and let's say this is a 3-story house. And on the 3rd story, there's 2 kids, and they both have 4K TVs running, and both have Xboxes. So they're using a lot of power. On the main floor, let's say mom is a teacher, and she's doing a Zoom conference, and she has a conference with a whole bunch of people like we have today. And let's say dad is in the office down in the basement, and he's just checking his email. Now, the router, like a dual band router that only uses 2.4 or 5, such as I've portrayed here, these three sizes would be equal. In other words, these three competing areas would get the same amount of data. However, not so if we had the main Orbi here on the main floor and we put a satellite up here and a satellite downstairs. What would happen is because the kids need more bandwidth, they need more stuff going up to the mesh router controls this and will actually put more resources upstairs into the upstairs bedroom. Mom, and I said maybe that's about 60%. Mom I allocated about 30%, but Dad doesn't need very much because he's just doing email. And as the resources change, this dynamically changes, and that's what a mesh router does, and it does it very, very well. Now, I wanted to talk about Wi-Fi range extenders. Many of you have, if you have problems in your house and you want to extend the range of your Wi-Fi, many of you use these devices. And so what is a range extender? Well, it could be that if you, in this diagram here, that you wanted to have a range extender because you want to maybe have an outdoor patio and you want your Wi-Fi to be able to reach outside. So you get a range extender. And I'll show you how that works. And this takes your existing Wi-Fi, and this is not a mesh system. This is just your normal system. So you'd have here on the left side, you'll see I've got a router. And what would happen then, if we wanted to extend it over in the bottom right here, this is an extender. This is a Wi-Fi extender you would plug in. So it takes the signal from your existing router and it brings it over here, and then it rebroadcasts the signal. Now it rebroadcasts it as a different SSID. That means it's a different, so you'll see on your SSID list, you'll see home and you'll see home extension. So this actually rebroadcasts the signal. Because it rebroadcasts the signal, your speed is affected. So Wi-Fi extenders are fine, but you shouldn't, if you have your main computer upstairs on the 3rd floor and you want to put a Wi-Fi extender up there, that would be a bad choice. You should use a mesh router for that instead, because it's going to slow down. Every time you add a Wi-Fi extender, it cuts the speed often by half. So you have to be aware of that. If you're going to connect through a Wi-Fi extender, your speed is going to go down considerably. But a mesh system would be much better. And the last one I wanted to talk about is the power line network adapters. This is actually a very common way of hooking internet up. So here you have we can actually move the internet in your house over your electrical wiring in your house where you normally take your power out. So here's an example. You have your router coming in here, and then you plug it into a power line adapter. It goes into just an electrical socket in your house, and then you can go and you can plug the other adapters in any other electrical socket in your house, and again connect your internet device to that. So you can actually run these are called power line, and I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. The only problem, and this actually works very well, the only problem is you can't run it past a panel. And that's why I put the circuit breaker panel up here. So if you had a garage, for example, and you thought, well, this would be a great way, and I'll just put one of these power line adapters in the garage, and then I'll have internet. It won't. If you have a sub panel in your house, it won't go by the sub panel. You can't cross the panels. So that's one of the things that you have to remember. And again, the cost of these is not very much. I think this is $97. This is made by TP-Link. TP-Link is the one that makes a lot of these, and this gives you an example. This was on Amazon, and that would give you an example of what that is. So this version of Orbi is one that just has been released and reviewed. This is the Orbi 4G LTE Advanced Tri-Band Router. This Orbi 4G LTE Advanced Tri-Band Mesh Wi-Fi router will deliver fast internet speeds from a 4G LTE mobile network. It can create LTE high-speed Wi-Fi for your entire home or business. This tri-band router has an integrated cellular modem. Simply insert a nano SIM card from an AT&T, T-Mobile, or other major 4G LTE service provider and activate the SIM card. Always on Wi-Fi when wired internet such as fiber, cable, or DSL are unavailable or disrupted. Seamlessly switch from your wired network to your wireless network connected by your 4G LTE.
Voice typing in Google Docs. I'm Hewie Poplock. You can reach me at info@hewie.net. Talk and type. In Google Docs, you can now simply talk for speech-to-text dictation if your computer has a microphone. You can even pause, issue a command, pause again, and resume dictating. Start voice typing. To do so, first check your microphone works. Then open a document in Google Docs with a Chrome browser. Click Tools and Voice Typing. A microphone box appears, and when you're ready to speak, click the microphone. Speak clearly at a normal volume and pace. When you're done, click the microphone again. Correct mistakes while voice typing. If you make a mistake while you're typing, with your voice, you can move your cursor to the mistake and fix it without turning off the microphone. After you correct the mistake, move the cursor back to where you want to continue. To see a list of suggestions, right-click words underlined in gray. You can use these phrases to add punctuation to your text. Period, comma, exclamation point, question mark, new line, and new paragraph. Voice commands. You can use commands to edit and format your document when you voice type. For example, select paragraph, italics, or go to the end of the line. Note, voice commands are available only in English. The account language and document language must both be English. Here's a list of many of the items to select text and what commands to say to do so. Here are some links to help you. Leave it on the screen for a moment. And we will put these in the video, in the note box under the video on YouTube. And let's start our demo. Okay, I am on my iPhone. I am going to dictate into Google Docs from my iPhone by clicking on Google Docs. I'm in a test document. I'm going to start recording by, and when I start recording, you will not hear me talk because Google Docs will take over the microphone until I'm done recording the dictation. I click on Edit. When I go to Edit, you will see down on the bottom there is a microphone. When I click that, it will switch me from no microphone within the document to the dictation mode, and you will not hear me for a few minutes when I dictate title and paragraph. I've stopped the recording, and you should see the information there. And I am now going to, I start the dictation. Now I'm going to stop the recording. We're now going to add to the same document using a different device, and that's going to be an Android phone, cell phone, and it's Galaxy S8 Plus, but it would work with any of the Android phones using Google Docs. We'll open up Google Docs. And you'll see at the top is the test from the iPhone, which is the document we're working on. So we're going to click on it. And there is our document. So at this point, what we want to do is we want to come down here to edit, tell it we want to edit. And it's not in the right place, so we need to move down to here. And then actually we want to go down one more line. Be right there, so we're ready to go. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use the microphone, which is just above the keyboard and just below, or the second line, I should say, in the icons. We're going to click on the microphone. We have to tap to talk. Since we are technology users, comma, whether beginners or gurus, comma, there are ways for our groups to serve the members, period. Many groups have already used Zoom to have APCUG Speakers Bureau presentations, period. Skype is another service for remote presentations, period. New paragraph. New paragraph. And so we've added that paragraph. And we'll stop this now, and then we're going to switch over to a PC. We started a document using our iPhone, and then we continued working on that document on our Android phone. Now we're on our PC, and the document that we're working on is a Google Doc. And what we're doing is we're adding our information by voice, not typing it in. So we need to open up Google Docs on our PC. And remember, when you're doing that, that you need to be in the same Google Drive and account that you have that you're using with your mobile devices. Because I have several Gmail accounts, so when I start up my Google browser, it defaults to an account that's not the one that I usually share and have the most storage space. I pay for some storage space. So I'm going to need to change the account to be able to make sure that I get to the right Google Drive to find the document that we've been working on. So if you can't find the document, make sure you're in the same or you're in the right account. Now what I'm going to do is go to the apps up here in the top right, and I'm going to scroll down and find Google Docs. By opening Google Docs, and I move down and I go into the recent documents, and here is the one from the test from the iPhone. This is the document that we worked on earlier. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open it. You will see that we've got two paragraphs. The one we entered using our iPhone, and then the paragraph that we used with the Android. Now we're going to come down. So I'm going to come down here and actually come down to the Next line, and you'll see that I go to Tools, and I go to Voice Typing. When I'm ready to start, I am going to click to speak and then start the recording. New paragraph. New paragraph. You can test using Zoom for free. The free account can accommodate 100 users, including the owner and any presenters, for 40 minutes. Period. The Pro plan is $15 per month or $180 per year for 100 participants and up to 24-hour meeting. Period. One member is the owner or host of the account and must sign in for others to participate. Zoom is quite easy to use and requires a very small file to download and to use. Period. New paragraph. Participants can join a Zoom meeting using any of the following: Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, and more. Period. You can connect with a phone for just audio or use a phone for the audio portion and your computer for the video. Period. New paragraph. I clicked the sound button. There is a command that you could stop also, but I found that this is easier. And you can see that we now have, I'm going to close the microphone, and we have now got 4 paragraphs in our document. And that's how easy it is to enter data from an iPhone, an Android phone, on your Mac or PC into Google Docs. So you can read something that's typed and you don't want to retype it, or you don't want to scan it, or you can just use your thoughts and ideas to create an article and then go back and edit it and take out the things that you don't want, the ands and the ahs and the uhs and things like that end up going into the document, and you're done. And it's very easy to use. It's quite accurate. And again, this is in Google Docs. That is a free program, and I'm storing it on my Google Drive so I can access it from any of my devices.